Exactly. They found a big piece of wood up on the top of a mountain somewhere, and the only explanation is that it's from Noah's Ark. I don't remember one thing. We've caught these Christians lying so many times, red-handed, and making up evidence. I mean, just look at Josephus' writings. Eusebius in the 4th century forged Josephus' writings to make it look like Jesus existed. So the Christians have been caught time and time again forging and making up evidence that I have a hard time trusting anything that they present anyway, because they have a history of being known to be liars.
Exactly.
So I would have to have some independent secular scientists go up here and give some real good evidence that this is actually from Noah's Ark, but I don't even know how they do that. I don't know how you prove an old piece of wood is from a goddamn boat from a fictional story.
Exactly. And, like, Christians, they've switched stuff around so much, especially with trying to convert people on coming into America, like the Pinnacle, or it was just the orbit of Venus. Mm-hmm. And they put it upside down. They're like, you can put the devil's head in here. That's Satan.
They're so ridiculous. They always try to find everything they can to scare people into being Christians, you know. It's like, I don't know if you heard about the West Memphis 3. Those 3, they just got released recently.
Yes. They killed... I can't remember.
They were convicted of killing this boy, and the redneck authorities accused them of being Satan worshippers and shit. But they had nothing to do with it, man.
They had no evidence.
They exonerated them.
Yeah,
they basically put them in jail because they said they worship Satan. They were listening to heavy metal music, and they said, well, you must be Satan worshippers to kill kids, you know? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and the only evidence they had against these teens were they were out past 8 o'clock when it happened.
And they listened to heavy metal music. So, guilty.
Yeah, I have been through... That's what caused my personal wavering in Christ, was this justice system. And people telling me there was a situation where someone I loved very much was on trial for something very, very horrible that evidence proved they did not do, and we had to take our evidence out for stupid reasons, and he's in prison for something he did not do. And a year and prior to that, people were coming up to me, Chad, I heard about what's going on with your dad. I want you to know, God talked to me. He told me your dad's not going to spend a day in prison. God talked to me. He said you don't have to worry. You can go home with this person. And it was just very strenuous, and I was not worried at all. And then I went to the courthouse, and it all happened. And then it came to, and he was convicted of it.
Giving you false hope? That's so ridiculous. I have no belief in the justice system either. The whole idea of justice doesn't really... Justice doesn't exist. Justice is a fairy tale concept that people make up to make themselves feel better, but justice really is non-existent in the real world, in reality. You know, so, and that's why a lot of people want to believe that there's an afterlife where people get real justice in the afterlife, because a lot of people recognize there's not really justice in this world at all, so they want to believe that there's justice somewhere in some way, but there's not.
Yeah.
There's really not any justice.
I think the biggest problem for people to accept or trying to believe in an afterlife, I think, is coming from not being able to wrap your mind around we don't exist afterwards.
Exactly, the fear of death and the fear that you're not going to see your loved ones again and all that. I hate that thought. You know, I don't like to think the thought that I'm going to cease to exist, that I'm never going to see my dad again or all that shit. I hope it's not true, but
exactly.
But I also know that what I want to be true doesn't change reality, so I accept reality for what it is because
exactly.
I'm an adult.
I wish I could fly, but reality is I can't.
Reality is what it is, but people just can't accept it for what it is, so they live in a fairy tale land.
It's crazy stuff that I bet me and you could go on for hours about, but...
I'm sure we could.
But here's the last question. What do you think is your number one fight against the cult of religion? What is your best argument?
My best arguments? That's a tough one. You stumped me. There's so many, I can't think of a best argument. Is the question, what is my best argument that religion is not true?
Yes. You can word it that way. Or how'd you convert your family? What was the thing that you stated to them that made them make that decision, that open their eyes of this blind faith?
Well, the fact that there's no evidence. My first question is, if you make a statement, a claim, you have to give me evidence for it. And so I just simply question the evidence. So when they would tell me something, and I would say, okay, where's evidence for this? And they didn't have any because their belief was not based on any kind of evidence whatsoever. So if you continue to question people's beliefs and ask for evidence, eventually they'll begin to understand that they don't have any evidence. See, people don't even understand why they believe what they believe. They have to be questioned before they actually understand why they believe what they believe. And if you question somebody enough, you could eventually make them understand that there is nothing solid for the basis of why they believe what they believe. But one of the main ways I got people to stop believing was just to prove to them that evolution is true. Once you get people to understand and accept evolution's truth, then you see that there is no higher power involved in evolution. It's a natural process of natural selection, and it's a very brutal system, an incredible brutal system that any god who set up the system of evolution would be a monster for doing that. So. Yeah. Evolution is obvious, so once you explain, the different evidence we have for evolution, you pretty much shatter religion in people's minds.
Yeah, I mean, just give them a little bit of insight and maybe a little research on their own, and just open their own eyes of this blind faith, this cult of religion.
The only really way you can make somebody stop believing is to anger them enough to make them go do the research for themselves. That's it. They have to want to know. And until they reach that point where they actually want to know for themselves what's true and not true, then they're still going to be a cult member forever. But you can't anger somebody enough to eventually where they'll say, well, fuck you, I'm going to prove you wrong. And when they do it, that's it for them. When you go try to prove me wrong, I've won.
Exactly. And, well, I don't know. Some people are so blinded by faith, no matter how much evidence you give them, no matter how much you show them, no matter how much they read about the human genome or anything about that, they say the devil made it up. People deny dinosaur bones. They say the devil put them like venom fang eggs, and I've argued with other people that say that it was just brought here by the devil. He wanted to trick us.
Well, what can you say about that? How can you argue with people that believe in, fairy tale creatures who are against them at all times? So yeah. There's a certain amount of psychosis that you can never get past, but if people are really open-minded and really want to know what the truth is and really want to prove you wrong, then if they go out and research it for themselves, they'll prove you right every time if they do it.
Yeah. Well, I have to see Cindy before we go.
She's in bed, man.
What? She can't be in bed. What time is it?
It's 10 o'clock. She went to bed about like 7. She went to bed early.
You guys are both lazy.
Yeah, we're lazy, man. We got up and went to town and got our oil change today, and that completely fucked our day up. So we're both napping and sleeping and shit.
I don't know what your interpretation of oil change is, but apparently yours is different from mine because it fucks up your day completely.
Whenever I have to leave the house, it pretty completely fucks up my day, yeah, for sure. But the thing is, it's so hot. We live in Mississippi. It's so hot. If you ever step outside the door, it just saps all the fucking energy out of you. It's like 1,000 degrees out there.
Yeah. Is it really hot down there still, or? Oh,
God, it's ridiculous. This global warming is killing me.
Do you believe in global warming, or?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, when 95% of the scientists say something is likely to be true, then I take their word for it. Yeah. Pretty simple. I take their word over the people that, like Exxon, who hire their own experts to claim it's not happening. I take the side of the person that doesn't have a dog in the fight to lie about it. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm out of questions. Anything you want to add?
Nope, I appreciate it. Hey, you guys, check me out at cultofdusty.com and check me out on YouTube at cultofdusty. And we'll have good times. Become an atheist because that's the intelligent position.
It is. Thanks, man. I'm Chad Rao. That is the People's Atheist, Dusty Smith. Give us a little logic bitch slap.
Logic, guys.
See you, Dusty. Thanks.
See you, Chad. Thanks, man. Take it easy.